Side of it is the insurance company didn't give me a hard time. They just like take it into a shop, we'll fix it. So it wasn't no rinky dink insurance company. So that's the good news. So
Well, you say you was hit by Peggy from what?
Desert Desert
That,
Springs.
that's who
Yeah,
it actually was.
yeah, her name was Peggy. She was in Desert Springs.
I
So,
thought you was starting a new Karen, but a new version of Karen.
oh no. She was nice. She saw I had Illinois place. She was like, "Oh, I used to be from Michigan. I used to live in Michigan." But yeah, but no, it went well. I don't know, I was the dummy heading in downtown LA in rush hour traffic. But it's kind of hard to time LA traffic because you don't know when it's going to be busy. Because I was heading inward towards the city and it was crowded as hell. Which I didn't understand. Because I was like, normally, coming from Chicago logic, tr- addressing traffic, going, going downtown at 2 p.m. normally isn't horrible. Um, but it's here, but it is here. People, it's really funny, on LinkedIn and all these, places where people talk about real estate. They're like, oh, the demise of California. Like population, people are leaving California like crazy. Actually, California had positive population growth, which I actually didn't know. I mean, they gained like 20,000 people, and they were
Really?
already, yeah. I mean, yeah, dude, this is the place every immigrant in America love to come, just because
Yeah, I guess
white
it's still a land of opportunity for most. Yeah.
just because white and black people may not view it the same. Immigrant populations across the world love California. uh so it's kind of like New York. It's kind of like the expressways of Southern California are like the streets in New York, or pre-COVID. The streets in New York pre-COVID. Let me make that caveat. Like they never sleep. It never sleep. It's always traffic out on the road, unless you
How
you know.
how is how are the road, like the actual roads, like going into downtown? Is it like
It's like a labyrinth. I mean, you could had take you could take in the 5, the 10,
okay?
it's like multiple. It's multiple ways, and you would
It's
think,
more options than like here.
oh hell, oh
Yeah,
God, no. That's like Chicago's traffic, expressway system is the clusterfuck of modern architecture, road
yeah.
architecture. It's I don't know, Dan Ryan. I'm like, no offense, I hope any of our listeners are Irish, but you guys like fuck up a lot of things, politics, expressways. You guys,
You just gonna
you
put it on the
uh,
island.
what the fuck is it with the Dan Ryan? He wasn't black. All right. Steve, I don't know what Stevenson
Yeah.
was. Kennedy. The
Well, I think it's Adelaide Stevenson. I think that's
Stevenson.
his
Okay, so
name.
he's the only exception to the rule. But yeah, I'm like, you just got one damn major arterial way through the whole city, and that's practically
Yeah,
it. It's a clusterfuck. And then
right.
you got all these people coming in from the south suburbs, and then from northwestern Indiana, coming in off this one major artery, and downstate Illinois off this one major artery, and it
Yep.
just creates
Yeah,
like,
it's just been like the last 5 years where going up the lake is even an option. Like, you can actually do that now, but not a lot of people still don't even do that. But
oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
like,
like you say, the only way, if you coming like from Indiana or from outside of the city south, yeah, you got to go up the damn run, and it's just one. Yeah, if you want to get to downtown.
it's a clusterfuck. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't, like, like you look at like the major like architects of like expressway transportation. You look at Robert Moses in New York, and you look at like here, and compared to like here or even Los Angeles, and I mean here, or and you compare it to Chicago, and it's like, Chicago, what the fuck were y'all doing? I mean, you have to, like, the difference between, you have to have a good public transportation transit system in Chicago, because otherwise you'd be
yeah.
fucked. Traffic will be moving like, it'd be moving
But
at a snail pace.
it's wild though, because when you think of city planning, a lot of Chicago has like Chicago has a lot of good history with city planning, like going back to Daniel Burnham and stuff, and like the grid system of the city itself and the lakefront. And but with the roadways, they just was like, fuck it.
Just that one major artery, you got 94 for 20 fucking miles, and you connect it with 57 down the way at 127th
Right.
Street.
As long
And
as it pocket it off the black folks
or
in the
100,
right way.
and then you bifurcate the city, and
Yeah.
cut through the black belt. Yeah, all that. So I don't know. It's like, I'm sure I'm making some stereotypes from a Chicago standpoint, but from
Well,
politics
yeah.
to public
That,
transit,
yeah.
like I don't know. You should stick to making
I
beer.
don't know how. Like I said, put it
Bars.
on. I know what you're saying as far as who's been at the top of the city for most of the history, but I guess there's been other people who've been sort of involved in that too.
Yeah,
Irish, Italians and Poles, and
they.
of the sort.
I'm talking about but being a labor. I mean, I don't say being the laborers, but the people. But Dan Ryan's name is on it.
Sure,
I
yeah.
don't know. Daily is the with the pin, like with the city budgets being like fucked in perpetuity, thanks to a lot of decisions he made. It's just like, dude, I don't know. They
Yeah, it's
I, all are
well, our managers just keep coming back to bite us in the ass. There's the report came out recently again about Chicago's government being crooked or the most. I forget the verbiage exactly, but this the worst essentially in the country. And there's some stuff has come out today. I haven't really looked into it yet, but I've seen like some headlines and stuff about some stuff that Rahm may be coming back to get at Rahm, like from some stuff they haven't. Maybe let me look right quick.
Yeah, and him too is like, like you have to be like people are like. That's the great thing about living in Chicago. I feel like I can deal with any damn thing. I was talking to, I mean, it's like people talk about like New York. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Bullshit. Like New York. I mean, the thing about having a larger population and just larger industry is that there's more opportunities to, you can go, if you can't make it in one borough, your ass can go to another borough. You can't hack it in Queens, you can go to Brooklyn. You can't hack it in Brooklyn, you can go to Bronx. I mean, or Manhattan. I'm going counter cycle, but the point is you got options. Chicago's a very, very small world. If you ask me anybody in real estate, for the most part in Chicago, I could probably tell you, especially if they doing anything, I could probably tell you I know that person.
Very patriarch, not patriarch is not the word.
Or politics for that matter.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like so many people say, like it's a big city, but it's a small town.
It is, and the more you move up, the more you get into different circles, you see the same damn people.
This is what I was talking about. You probably remember this, the General Iron plant on the southeast side. It said federal investigators are looking into complaints of discriminatory zoning and land use practices by the city. Asked for details about emails between some of Mayor Rahm Emanuel's top aides. And
none of that shit. Unfortunately, none of that shit surprised me.
Yeah, the movement from the General Iron metal shredding plant from the north side to the southeast side, and there's been a lot of fuss about that because of the pollution.
The environmental racism and pollution and shit. Yeah. None of that. Yeah, of course. I'm going. Yeah, I mean, you got to make room for new developments up there. And,
Lincoln Yards in particular. Yeah.
Like where I'm gonna dump my shit where the poor people live. I mean, Yeah, sleight of hand and shit. Yeah, like we're creating some jobs. You know, that was that's the whole
just
we're
just
creating
take
some jobs.
just take this
Take
all
these
this
three-eyed
punishment to your
fish.
lungs. Yeah,
Take these damn three-eyed fish.
right. Three-eyed
You
fish and your considerably lower life
low.
expectancy.
You're not gonna be able to, lower sperm count, all that shit. You ain't gonna be
Yeah.
able to have as many kids, but you're in the South Side. You don't really need kids. Uh,
Yeah. We don't want you to have too many kids anyway.
exactly. We're doing you a favor. It's not
Yeah.
safe to, yeah. So no, like, yeah, stuff with you hear with Rom and all that, and I don't know. Rom is one of those people that initially try to frame himself as a reformer, and then even with even what we seeing with Lori's
Yeah.
falling off the reformer bandwagon. She is like
It's
yeah, she gave most of the COVID budget to the police. I don't know if you saw the thing in not next door. I'm drawing a blank. Where's the one? The newspaper DNA Chicago DNA Info, not DNA. What is it called? What is it called now?
the
It's not called.
the block club Chicago.
Yeah, the woman chopping up the apple, showing like they gave 80% of the budget, the COVID budget, CPD. It's just like, man, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one thing to run as a reformer, but to actually uh, run the city as one, it seems to be beyond most of these people who try to go for the job of mayor of Chicago for some reason.
It'd be like if Bernie won the damn presidential election and he started giving out the tax cuts to the wealthy and shit, or doing, yeah, that's what
Yeah,
she's turning it
just go
into.
against everything that that they said they believe in.
Yeah, and she posted some shit like they finally now are gonna start having like, when they have search warrants, start having a lieutenant, or on board, a lieutenant, at least, accompanying, blue shirts on search warrants, and they have a female officer, for on the board for search warrants, and I'm like, y'all should have done that shit in
Mhm.
the first place. They
Yeah,
call it like, dude. It's really interesting. I've been watching both. So LA '92 on Netflix, which was about the LA riots,
yeah,
and then there's another one that John Ridley did on the the same thing, but he kind of covered a longer period. And you look at LA, just how like
the
you know
Rayleigh one. Yeah, the Rayleigh one was good. I saw that. I saw that they aired that actually on ABC,
yeah.
and it
So
was that's pretty good.
but you see, like even the way that their politicians move, yeah, like the LAPD, even more like Daryl Gates was a piece of shit. I'm not gonna make a wide swath of just calling all the LAPD members bad and anything like. But Daryl Gates was a piece of shit. But
Mm.
you see the prosecutor in the Rodney King case standing up for him, was a black dude. You see like the city council calling out LAPD, like you guys are doing some fucked up shit, and they were doing that 30 years ago, whereas you got a problem with even now members of the city council being like standing up against and the crying, police brutality. Like now in Chicago, you got like some
Yeah,
of them, and it's just like they were 30 years ago they were still, taking steps to do shit we still trying to do. In some instances.
but,
And,
yeah. I mean, I think we talked about a little bit with Vasquez, Walter Vasquez, like a few weeks ago. Like, there's still like such a soft spot with the police. They're not asked to really raise their standards ever by the people in charge, because I don't know if it's out of fear or what or just they're always strong armed by the people who represent the police, or,
I,
or vouch for them, or.
if I don't know, my whole thing is that if I could understand having leverage if you operated in a fucking proactive manner. If they function in a proactive manner, right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, they function in a reactive manner. So I need somebody to protect me from getting robbed or shot in the first fucking place. I don't need. I mean, though it's probably a constellation of my family, you know, and you finding out who did it. I mean, the damage is still done, right? Once the rob shot, whatever the fuck happens to you, has already happened. So I can understand that if they operated in a proactive manner, just the way they deal with, you know, crime issues, that
Yeah.
they can hold that as a carrot over the head, like say, hey, you know what, we've been protecting your ass. If you We've been really protecting your ass. If you don't back us, then we gonna pull away that protection. I truly get that. But if everything is reactionary, then it doesn't hold the same
But that
value.
makes it for most folks who don't really think these things through. That probably makes it even scarier because then the police always sort of position themselves as the last defense. So it's like, and most people who most people who run, like take like Trump for instance, being he was supposed to be a law and order candidate, like the way he positioned himself. But and so much of his rhetoric was based on how shitty everything was, like how the how the suburbs is going to crumble, and there's going to be no place to run and hide from society's ills, and like every people on that end of the spectrum, they want you to feel that society is always on the verge of crumbling, and the police is the last line of defense from that complete takeover by the bad people.
It's just like, yeah, and they so fuck. I mean, like for them, I mean, dude, I can't say what I really want to say, but what I want to say is that as society, we becoming a bunch of pussies, and I mean it in the context of this, like everybody's strapping up, everybody's
And the ones who say the ones who forever talking that snowflake shit, they the softest ones. Like they,
you moving, like they continuously moving further away from the city. So that goes to show how fearful you are. And they buying guns in record amounts. I'm like, that doesn't show me that you are a what the hell is that term? That doesn't show. I mean, that doesn't show that you're tough. It just shows that you're clannish and that you're fearful, and you don't really have a way to. And you're operating in this tribal mentality, whereas the dude who looks like you is telling you the same. Is feeding your fears and your ego is the person you listen to, even if he's a competent fuck. There's a, I mean, there's a guy right now in I think it's North Carolina. He's a paraplegic. Actually, he just won like I don't know, a House of Reps seat. It's a young guy. He's 25. I forgot what his name was, but I was reading an article on him in the New York Times, and they were like, this dude lied about his whole accident, the way he ended up getting paralyzed. For one, he lied about his career service. He lied about his education. He lied about everything. He ended up being a bit of a predator on women. I mean, I guess when he got.
these are Madison Cawthorn.
Yes, him. I couldn't think of his last name. Yeah, like dude, yeah, like he said I couldn't. I couldn't get into. He's like I applied for Harvard, but I couldn't get in because my grades weren't good because I got TBI or some shit like that. He was taking like the college where he was going to college. He was taking girls out on rides and trying to force them to have sex with him, or at least whatever he could to do whatever he could do. And then talk if when they refused his advances, he talked shit about him on the campus. Just everything about dude is pretty foul. I was like, I don't know if I should feel bad about the Republican Party, but the Republican Party is kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like Chicago sports. We in some instances where we have our glory days to hold on to, but sometimes you see a sparkle or a comeback, but somebody ends up fucking it up. Whether it's management, whether it's a bad trade, a bad person on the coach or trade or something.
Well,
And
I don't know about Chicago sports as a whole. I can see why you
a
say
few
that, but I
a
think
few teams, not as a
more,
whole, but a
yeah,
few
more.
teams.
That's more like the Bears probably,
Bears,
or
that's a good example.
yeah.
The Bears
Yeah,
actually.
it's more
That's
like the Bears. Yeah, because when you look at the other, not to veer into sports too much, but you look at the other franchises, even the Bulls within the past year, they've reformed themselves. They've actually reformed themselves to they've had periods of reform to where they have gotten to look at themselves. They relook at themselves at a different way, and they've reformed themselves, and they've gotten better in a lot of ways. Like the Cubs, the Cubs did what they did to win a title. The Hawks did what they did. It took actually their old man who was running them to die, and then they reformed themselves and they went.
Works. Yeah.
Yeah, Works. Yeah, old man Works he died off, and then they reformed themselves. They won. And the Cubs won. The White Sox are in the process of actually. They're probably the best bet to win of the Chicago teams. They may win as soon as this coming year. But
that's great.
and like I said, the Bulls. I'm watching the Bulls now. They're about to win a game, and they've actually they've improved greatly since last year. But the Bears are, like you said, the Bears are still, the Bears are still living in the past, and the Bears like Ditka may as well be Reagan, and and
pretty much.
and you know. I can't say that their coach today is Trump, but it's more like their GM is Trump, but because he doesn't even he's not even that interesting. Like it would be if the Bears had a GM like Trump, you could at least focus your anger on them. But with these guys that they have, it's like they don't even have a point of view. Like that's what is like it's one thing to be incompetent and have a point of view. To be incompetent and not have a point of view is like you don't even know what you're up against. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, but I just missed. Yeah, I didn't mean to veer off in that, but
No, I did more veer it off to you, but
but
I see what you're saying.
They're like it's just like their glory days are largely behind them, and
but I'm saying, but in talking about it's interesting because they had the CPAC rally convention this past weekend, and it's interesting because like they're going right back to Trump, and it's like like y'all can't even go a year. It's like it shows that they have nothing. They have literally nothing. They're up there. They're rallying with Trump. They're like, I may run again in 24, and and this is with his poll numbers within the party are at like 55, which I think Colbert. I saw a segment of Stephen Colbert was like, you can't even get more of a majority of these nuts. Like these are all the nuts that are you should be getting 80-90% with these people. You can't even get more than 55% of these people that you expect to go win the national again. I mean, win for the first time. Really, he hasn't won the national election. Really, and that's just how diluted they are. The whole party is so diluted.
it's really interesting. You see all these, the kind of not to tie two things too much in real estate, but now back on my birthday, Nura and I went to Balboa Harbor Bay or something like that. It's in this really nice area in Long Beach, and we went and we see all these Trump flags, and it's really funny. It's like those houses are the ones you always see popping up for sale. So you just kind of wonder, if there's, any tying to, politics or anything with them, politics to them and just, want to get out that area, them getting out the area now. It's because he has one, he's got a golf course down this way, not too far. And so he's still got a lot of supporters down this way, especially further south of me in like Orange County. So it's really interesting, for lack of a better term. It's but yeah, I don't. With that being said, I think I don't see him coming back anytime soon. I
Yeah, I
think
mean, let's go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I think America's lost his America. I think America has learned his lesson. I hope, especially with COVID.
I think all America needs is to get away from the foul shit that he in large part built up over the past 4 years. Like, there's still gonna be stragglers because there's a lot of dumbasses in this country. But but the more if the all the Democrats got to do is keep some money in people's hands and get people from being sick and get people well again. If they do those two things, then they should be largely okay by 24, if not 22. You know, you could swing the middle elections in some ways that because it's so divided anyway. The Senate and the House is all you give and take a few seats in each the Senate or the House, and you swing control. And so there's a lot of variance. There's a lot of variables that could be involved in there with the elections in different states and stuff. But when you talk about the major control, and of course leading up to the presidency, you gotta really fuck up a lot. To give up I mean, for real, like to give up control in 4 years. Look how more times than not, presidents have had 8-year runs. Even bad presidents like George W. got he got the benefit of the doubt just because in '04, mostly because Kerry wasn't that great a candidate really, but he got the benefit of the doubt. And within a year, he fucked up with Katrina. If we were smarter back then, we would have known. Like, why would you give George W. Bush 4 more years when he didn't earn the first 4 that he got?
He's in the middle of war.
Yeah, and we paid for that as a nation. Thank God we didn't make that same mistake with Trump. But he was just too incompetent. And he was too divisive for us to make that mistake as a nation. But still, 70 million people voted for him. It took a unprecedented rollout and a voting rollout for us to back him back.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, a part of the problem is this. I think that you have to figure out. I think the problem is the Democratic Party, and I know we say we shouldn't have to give these dumbasses credence, but I think the part of the problem with the Democratic Party is they haven't figured out a way to, I don't know, engage the downtrodden,
Yeah.
conservative folks.
I thought you was talking about the downtrodden, liberal leader folks, but
I mean, you can't. You feel like you feel like you shouldn't have to pander a motherfucker who's wrong. But that's what politics is. I mean,
yeah,
that's what a great politician is. I mean, Daley Senior and the Junior collectively kept niggas under their thumbs for 40 plus years because they knew how to pander to the downtrodden. And even if they're, I'm pretty sure Daley Senior or Junior didn't like niggas. But they knew how to pander to, the downtrodden, and ultimately the conservative, white male is the downtrodden right now. And as a Democratic Party, you have to figure out a way to, I don't know, connect with them or hear their problems.
I think what you're talking about is masking contempt, and that's so the dailies. Yeah, they likely mask their contempt for the black and brown people in Chicago for years, and that's how they were able to consolidate, to
keep
hold
them wins going.
Oh, yeah.
They the Tom Brady of politics. I mean, yeah, shit.
And when you look, I guess when you look at national politics, that's what the Republicans have done. Even though their policies have been so nakedly offensive to the majority of black and brown people of color, general immigrants, whatever, for decades, they put out, like say, they put out someone like Reagan who could at least mask, who for the most part could master contempt.
Oh,
Be,
oh yeah, he was a great puppet.
yeah, and the the elder Bush and George W. You know, uh, Trump couldn't match that contempt though. He just lies his way out of it. Like he
He
was
didn't,
like, oh, black people love me, you know, but
he didn't
no,
have the
but
same.
they don't.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think the difference between the Reagan and Bush Senior era is that there were certain issues that were national concerns. There were drug issues. There was the war on drugs that was a national concern at that
Yeah,
time. There's a war like crime that was a national issue at that time. Poverty. They were like major issues. But when he took over, when he took over the presidency, it wasn't the same like unifying cause. That's the reason why some black and I like the word immigrant populations that voted for that. Some black people that voted for it too.
right. That's what I was gonna say. Like
Because it
those that's back when they were like compassionate conservatives, and
well, yeah.
they had these they had these plans and like say the war on drugs, the war on crime and everything. They were doing things that some black folks and so a lot of people who were being negatively affected by those things, they were with that because they were just as scared of these things
They,
as the white folks were.
they were
And
victimized, yeah,
yeah, they were
which is really.
victimized. Yeah,
Yeah,
on
they were the direct victims of it, and I don't know if you've seen Cracking the System yet, and it speaks to that. And they even interviewed Charles Rangel, who's now passed on, but how they talk about how he shows about why he supported the crime bill, and he explains like at that time that's what my constituents wanted.
mm-hmm.
And even though it wasn't the best thing to do, even though it can't cause the crack, the cocaine disparity was, I forgot what it was, 50 to 1 or whatever it was, or 20 to 1, 10 to 1, whatever it was crazy, and it ended up disproportionately sending black people to jail. Um,
And we didn't get it until it was too late. We didn't
right,
understand it. And you could
understand,
look at you could. It was a lot of there's a lot of touchstone moments back there. Like you could think of like Lynn Bias dying, and that the way that affected people, and because and just the way that something like that could get flipped into a whole, combining that with the Just Say No campaigns and everything, and Nancy coming out and going on different strokes and all this stuff, and like they do, they knew how to market this.
And they just one big, and the shameful thing is they were the biggest fucking hypocrites in the world. I was watching that the John Ridley documentary about the LA riots, and they were talking about how Daryl Gates at the time he ended up, I guess after he had retired, or it was right during the time of the riots, he was saying that one of his sons had checked into rehab, but he had also previously made a comment that casual drug users should be, found out and shot, seeked out and shot, or something like that. And it's a famous poster. I think Ice Cube had or something like that on one of his record covers. But the point is, it's just like they're just the biggest fuck. They were just the biggest hypocrites. But more germane to this is that the difference is they had those unifying causes. That's why black people voted Republican back then. That's why immigrant communities voted Republican back then because these were common concerns. Now Trump comes into 2016. His platform is based predicated on lies. It's something that's predicated on,
or it's petty culture war stuff. Like,
yeah,
I was, yeah, right, yeah, like they was having clips. I was seeing clips from the CPAC this weekend. They talking about, Mr. Potato Head being changed up, and I don't know if you ever heard that stuff. I can mention that fully in a minute, but like just Cruz was out there trying to do stand-up sets, like he just railing on
that nigga
stuff
is
like the conservative girl from the Star Wars show getting fired and stuff. He just out there railing on petty stuff. And
it's just smoke and mirrors. It really is all. It's just like this nigga smoke and mirrors. Like he got the damn near the state of Texas mad at his ass. He's a damn like I don't know if I was Ted. Cruz, I'd be hiding under a fucking rock by now. Just
I don't see win any elections down there, man. It amazes me like how he's just like the antithesis of any sort of substantive. Like we think of Texas like as you know, whether you talking about a conservative or not, like just you think of the American West and the tradition of earthy Texas, frontiersmen, going all the way back to the Alamo people and all that, and people,
brave men of character, valor,
great men,
yeah, honor and all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, valor. Yeah, yes, exactly. And then this little rat like dude comes along and like just the most manipulative asshole. Like, he couldn't even lie his way out of that stuff. Like he couldn't even think of a good. He threw his daughters under the bus. When people called him out for going to Cancun while half the state is freezing.
Look, man, that's
no power, man.
I think I think with COVID, a lot of people be throwing their kids under the bus. You be trying to have meetings and shit. Hear their ass screaming in the background and be like, "Sorry, kids, gotta homeschool the kids." I don't know what to say about that, man.
With a lot of it too, because a lot of people would act the same way if they had the power and resources that they had. If they could have chartered a flight to Cancun
when the tough get going, to go to Cancun.
Yes, 1, 2, 3, Cancun. Yes,
it's just like.
But that's the thing, though. Like we need leadership, man, in this country more than ever. And these are the people, but the people who get in the positions of leadership are the most conniving, disappointing people that we have, man. Like we don't have the people who are really about something don't never get in those positions.
We need it. You could have what was a good David Simon recreate The Wire and use Republican characters. Just being members, but the problem with it is with a lot of that dudes had character. I mean, it wasn't until you got to like Marlowe team until you had like all these outlaw niggas. So you could,
and even Marlowe at the end, at least he had "My name is my name." He had something that he stood by, like he wasn't like Omar, but he wasn't as ethical as Omar, but he still had something that he stood for. He the purity of his reputation. He wasn't like he just like Ted Cruz. Compare Ted Cruz to Marlowe. Ted Cruz allowed Donald Trump to call his wife out, and he still
ugly or something. He called her ugly or something.
He called her ugly. Talked about his dad being trying to assassinate Kennedy and stuff. All this crazy stuff, and he still is a lapdog for him. The old boy from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, same thing. Like that, these people got treated by Trump for years. Marco Rubio, all these people got treated by Trump, and they're willing to do his bidding.
Power. It's that glass dick called power. It's called power, man. Yeah. People talk about crack being addictive. That once you get into politics, you ain't gonna get that shit. You're not gonna give that shit up to power, to money, for not doing a whole lot of shit.
But
you're gonna go work. You're gonna go work. Am I gonna go work for a living again after this? Hell no.
Right. I can't work for a living. Yeah.
Like that little Weasley piece of shit in North Carolina. What's his name? Cawthorn.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Right.
He was getting on the wave. I mean, he was getting on the Trump wave, and he knew he didn't have no other way to I don't want to say make a living, but I was gonna say that's not quite correct because he got paid. I think again we're getting an insurance payout for like $3 million. Now I'm not gonna say losing my legs is worth $3 million. Point is, it's enough. He was covered financially for a good bit. But yeah, politics is a hell of a drug. Political power is a hell of a drug.
But that to me, that goes back though to my name is my name. Is like you willing to have your name be mud just so you can maintain this station in life that you don't really deserve, that you got, that you didn't really
You
deserve to
know
get.
that shit. You know what I had to learn? All that shit is arbitrary. Who we think that shit like it's all arbitrary. We look at people. We wonder how they got there. They may not be the most talented. They might not be the most smartest, but they either work harder or they more strategic with their shit. It comes down to one or two things. It
Or they
really
or they kiss the right asses.
strategic with this shit, which means that they knew that this is the way they were gonna get to their beat. I mean, you hell, if we wanted to sell ourselves, if you wanted to sell yourself out, you could be somebody in the Republican Party. Yeah,
We talked about that, didn't we, last
exactly.
week? And I
I,
saw a clip. I saw a clip this week of Diamond or
gosh,
Silk sitting next to Trump at the table in the White House. Like, how the hell did they get to?
you
Why
be like,
to
you
the
be thinking
president
it like, how the hell did,
at a
how they
meeting
get
at the
there?
White House?
You be wondering, yeah, exactly. I mean, you wonder like how the hell they got there. They got there because they played the role. They got you could like I said, you could start the Young Republicans Party in Chicago. Boy, they love your ass on the Northwest side. They be like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you, you would have to worry about shit. You get police to transport back to the crib, and be like, we know you run on a platform of support. Supporting the blue, the police and
yeah.
conservative, fiscal conservatism and all that shit. Go, rail against crime and dude,
Neoconservative Negroes.
look, make that, and you start in Chicago. The last person black who was big in Chicago would have ended up in the White House. So, you may not end up in the White House, but you end up somewhere.
Yeah.
They'll be like, finally, somebody who gets it. Somebody amongst your people, and amongst the young one, the youth that get it.
At the least, I probably end up in a mini mansion in Glencoe,
Exactly.
with
Exactly.
with an obedient white wife.
Look, like I said, you're in the game better
I'm
than you
sitting there,
started.
have my own morning show on WIND.
Exactly. You end up, hell yeah, get
Be a
paid.
yeah.
We talked about Rush Limbaugh ended up half a billionaire, just talking dumb shit.
That would be my home base. I'll be in like 20 major markets spewing hatred on my own
all
people.
all these you're talking about, you just call it, just say these, you complain and railing against the liberals, and
Sure.
call
I'd get all my material from Uncle Ruckus. Like, remember the episode where he was a preacher and he was like, "I bet you name 10 niggas that you hate."
no, you should look. You gotta
Niggas off
you
the
got
top of your head who you hate.
you gotta
And then
use.
and Dubois was like, "I hate Usher, Kobe."
And even more, but you know what though? Even more the lane to even get more people though is the go with the libertarian bent. I don't even know. I still don't
Oh yeah,
understand what the
we
fuck a
need more
libertarian.
freedom.
Because then you start. That's because then
Hands
you'll
off
start
my gun.
pulling people from both. You still start pulling people feel alienated from the Republican Party. People feel alienated from the Democratic Party, and you just
Mm-hmm.
be like the Black Libertarians group.
Mm-hmm.
There you
Yeah,
go.
get your hand off my guns.
Get your hands off my guns and off my bathrooms. And that it could be every show would just be talking about
My
just be
bathrooms,
real
I hate you in bathrooms.
gender.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. Keep
Keep
those trannies out of my bathroom.
and that would be just every show dealing with one, like pull some news story of some crazy shit, or some crazy hearsay story out of the news media, and just rail off on that shit.
Ain't no
It,
squatting in my bathrooms.
exactly. No peeing standing up in my. I don't
Yeah.
want nobody peeing standing up in the bathroom, the same bathroom my daughter's going to. If I see him, I'm gonna kill him. It's just like you start saying all that crazy knee jerk shit, and dude, you paid.
Oh, and then was see that would be a good place to start. Then I'd have to go to, but then I had to get into the wild conspiracy shit, like the lizard people and the
No,
baby.
I I no, honestly, because that's where you lose your credibility. No, don't start going on that QAnon shit. No,
Look,
that's there's enough news
that's
stories.
what the well man
No, you want to
because
be you
but
you want to
those
be in the
guys are
middle.
still around. Alex. Okay, well I guess for brothers you can't really go that far. Yeah,
You can,
you
I
can't go that
mean,
far.
yeah, no, because then you end up being a sideshow. And like, I don't know, for some reason, when you know when they talk about it, it's like a sense of you. They're fervent, and you know they batshit crazy, but you not looked at like a sideshow. Like we do start talking that
Yeah,
shit, you looked at like a goddamn sideshow. Like, oh, like he should belong on a Howard Stern show or something. No, you don't want to be that. You want to be that middle of the road dude, so your ass can start getting on Newsmax. You can't be too crazy. You just gotta be enough so you can get on Newsmax or something like that.
black conservatives. The main thing that they do is comfort whites. Yeah,
Assange White.
they let credence to white racism and bigotry. They provide a soft landing with every issue that comes along. You got a brother who Whitlock is probably the best example of that in current times. Jason Whitlock, like
Yeah.
he always, whenever there's an issue that sort of divides along racial lines, he always argues for whites and against blacks. Like black folks can say like such and such thing offends us, and there's no argument against that. But Jason Whitlock always finds the argument against that. So
Got it.
that's really is black conservatism 101.
Like I said, and it also makes it, and it also work better. It also works better if you're articulate. Like problem with a lot of black conservatism, it's not articulate. You got the
But
sideshow act.
get the ones who get the money and stuff and opportunities are articulate. Like Whitlock is articulate. He was a newspaper columnist for years, so he could write and he could speak on TV and stuff. And like
But
people like Armstrong Williams and Armstrong Williams and
yeah,
Larry Elder. When they were doing that thing was like yeah. Juan Williams is sort of position. He's been that guy at points, but he's positioned. He's like what you say. He's like a normal guy at a lot of times too. But
you,
yeah,
you
but yeah,
gotta
you gotta be eloquent. Yeah,
like you can't don't go
you
to
gotta.
side.
He speaks well for those types. He's not
Oh,
one of those types.
yeah, because the thing is they have enough nut jobs already. So
Yeah,
so the whole point is that the more polished you are, the further you go. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
if they especially now because they need you now. It's like
You're right. Right.
they like
They want as many under the tent as they can. They're not going to actually make the effort to widen the tent, but if you want to come in and sell yourself and put yourself under the tent, they'll gladly have you. Yeah.
like I said, yeah. So it's a I don't know, but
I'm holding out till maybe 40, probably about 45. If I don't get to a place where I'm satisfied, I'm gonna just go ahead and pull that screw out.
8 years. I think in 8 years they're gonna hit their quota. I think. I think you should give it. I think you should give it. I think you should give it to 40. I say, give it to.
That's too soon, man. That's gonna be. That's gonna be right around.
3 years.
That's gonna be 24. That's gonna be the year of the next election. So
they gonna need you, man.
Maybe I have to get off the pot and shit.
You gonna have it's more like 2 years, so you can be a part of the cause already. Like I said, I'm looking forward to come visiting that house in Glencoe. I've only been to Glencoe once, and it's for a South Asian wedding, which is the most. Which if you ain't seen no baller shit, you think you see some baller shit in rap videos and niggas doing their thing. Most baller shit you can ever go to is a South Asian wedding. That shit is like
Yeah.
it's everything over the top they can do. Motherfuckers, for the average person, they had to mortgage their damn house or sacrificing the kid to college for that damn South Asian wedding. Shit, it's all they always over the top. I don't know, always. We went to a house, big like 10,000 square foot house in Glencoe. I remember when I had the red Cherokee. I was ashamed to park that motherfucker there. They had the not the what do they call it, the car, the people that take your car,
Valet.
to park your car. Yeah, it had valet.
Can't even think of the word.
They had valet. And
To
I
that
went.
tree.
How many damn rooms we had to walk through to get to the actual wedding procession. Yeah, so you ever want to, yeah, see,
Big old Bollywood wedding.
I call it Bollywood, but it was balling. So I was like, so you gotta get that house in Glenwood, man, and do it big. I guess for you it'd be like it'd probably be like more like Frank Lucas, like
Right. Block, nigga. Don't scrub block, nigga.
No, I'd be like, well, they invited the family up from North Carolina. Just be like, but like, what do you do? What are you doing, Frank?
That's alpaca.
No, when he invited his mama up and he invited his cousins up and whatnot before they had the little incident when they came into the new house, and they were just like in awe. This was like they had made it to the promised land.
Yeah, they were so country. Yeah, country as hell.
So yeah, that's a yeah.
T.I.
No.
asked if he was gonna play for the Yankees.
His nephew. Like, I don't want to play. Well, if I had a choice between playing baseball and he got a call with Billy Martin, I would have taken that versus selling dope.
Yeah.
Being a Yankees player back then probably was would have got you, unless you was Frank Lucas. It was pretty damn. You were pretty treated well. So
the only thing is you would have had. I don't think he had facial hair anyway, but if you had facial hair back then for the Yankees, you had to shave it off. You couldn't have any facial hair.
Oh well, in any particular case, you were still royalty in the city, during that time. That's where everybody's fixation was on. So yeah, but no, man, you gotta give it 2 more years. If and you may have to start the Black Libertarian group or something.
The Black. Yeah, at one point I'd have liked to revive the Black Liberation Party, but instead it'll be the Black Libertarian Party.
Look. You gotta. So first of all, I don't know unless you're gonna go be a mouthpiece for Chairman Fred Jr. I love him, but he be stumbling. He stumbles over his own words, and I mean, I was like,
all I have to do is go to concerts and say "Freedom all." Freedom all.
I was just like, they should have had I was just like, I was watching the video that they had on Facebook on Monday, and I was like, it's hard. The way he speaks is like I don't know, it's a stutter step. It's real like fast, and I was like, it's hard to catch everything he's saying sometimes.
But maybe that's why old boy spoke the way he did for his father. Why Kalia spoke that way.
Yeah, I was just like, no, because he spoke slow. No, Chairman Fred, like he speaks like, I don't know, like fast, and it's kind of like staccato.
I'm saying Kalia spoke, he stuttered over himself too. That's what
I
said, he didn't speak like Chairman Fred spoke.
No, he didn't. He was trying. I don't know. Maybe he was listening to Fred Jr. But it was just like, hey, damn. I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, I guess go from one end of the spectrum to the other, and I was just like, the police, like, the Black Panther Party probably was like the last, bastion before you get a street to the niggas. It's just like it's like not anything against Jeff and Larry and
Barstool.
David Barstool and Shorty Freeman and all them. But once you kill Fred, you pretty much just told these motherfuckers it's playtime.
Yeah, they were the last resort for the streets.
It was like, and then both Jeff and Larry been locked up so damn long. It's just like you just had the dudes underneath them, and David was killed, died early, and they all. It's just like, so then you had to, so then they all got knocked out, and then you really just had the dudes underneath them. And it's just like you just open the door, you open the gate, and people don't. I think, and it's really interesting, like with like street crime in Chicago versus like L.A. is like in L.A. that shit is old. Like gangs in Chicago, and in the modern, I guess I don't even call it the modern iteration, but the most recent iteration was like 60s, right? And then you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Vice Lords is the oldest of the main ones. Yeah, but them motherfuckers and out here they started 100. They started 40 years before that shit. Like the Hispanic gangs, they started like in the 20s and the 30s, and the black gang started later. But
I thought the black gang,
the black gang started later. Yeah, but Chicago. I mean, but a lot of that happened post the civil rights movement, and you killing everybody off that meant that could have organized them to do something positive, and all you left them was just the street life.
What you had. I think in both cities was you had the dedicated, breaking down of these structures from outside forces, and it led to the subsequent generations pretty much having to look out for themselves in regards to resources and putting about things like I'm thinking right now, because I'm catching up on the show, the Snowfall, and
I started watching that again. I'm still on season 1,
and of course that's part of the first season where you have the main character is his father was a Panther, and his father winds up being a bum on the street, and he's left to his own devices essentially, and he winds up becoming a drug kingpin. But the first season is starting his story in regards to doing that. But but you had drug kingpins and gang leaders and murderers, and a lot of people who you would think they might not have done necessarily what they'd have done if the leadership was in place, be it even if it was a gang leadership, but if it was a Panther or a similar organization, community minded, and trying to reform certain things in the community, you would think that there'd be less of these people who would be doing these negative things out there if those organizations were allowed to exist and evolve over the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, but the whole thing of it is that none of these authoritarian bodies ever want to take responsibility for the fuck ups they make. Rarely they do. Whether it be the infiltration of drugs, whether it be the destruction of Black Power movement, the civil rights leaders, all this shit. They never take responsibility. They never take responsibility and ownership for creating the problem that exists.
They can't even they can't even take responsibility for slavery, which was naked. There's no defense of slavery. It was right there in the open.
It was a long time ago. Get over yourself. Get over yourself.
Right. So, but then we could say, but look at this shit happened 30, 40 years ago. How about this? Well, we didn't really try to do that. That was those are some bad apples. Those are clandestine efforts that were put forth by some bad apples. Like J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to call. Like, that's the whole thing about it's no one ever looks at the collateral damage for when you're in those top level roles. Never look at the collateral damage that happens from the fucked up things that you implement. Right? I think that's really what it comes down to. Even with like not even J. Edgar Hoover, because he was going on to his reward by then. But even with like Iran, with the Iran culture, the Contra, and
Yeah,
then
by
you
the
had like
80s.
right, and then you even have like, and if you what did you watch Cracking the System yet or no?
No, I haven't actually yet.
Oh, you got to watch that. And then, because it talks about, I mean, it goes really deep into that. And it just talks about how Reagan, pretty much, I guess addressed his myths that were, or just like this obsession that American culture had with fighting communism. And it was like at the end
Oh
where
yeah,
it destroyed more lives than it was supposed to protect and save. And
they leveraged the inner cities for this quixotic battle against communism, which was crumbling anyway on its own. It's not like what they were doing in Central and South America killed communism. All it did was bring drugs to the inner cities of America and fuck up so many lives in this country.
you just been wondering about this stuff, and it's like, yeah, that is definitely the case, but the whole even started even from the time where I guess that was the last time where we were dabbling in foreign policy. I'm assuming that's probably the last time we were dabbling in foreign policy, and the effort or the sake of fighting communism. But I mean, that shit didn't happen for 30 damn years. I mean, starting back starting with McCarthy, how many lives he ended up destroying with the Council on Un-American Activities through,
Oh yeah,
him snooping on and putting people in
he
the
was
black
just
book.
nut. Yeah,
Yeah, people, yeah, him, and putting in, J. Edgar Hoover spying on every damn civil rights leader, and
mm,
coin and then COINTELPRO.
ruining,
All
ruining actors' lives and writers' lives who said the least bit of had the least bit of leftist rhetoric, in their scripts. They would ruin people's lives randomly, like for nothing.
Yeah, and it's just like, I was like, I don't know, like how. I guess the point of this is like, how do you even, and you like, I guess for the people who vote Republican, I don't know, they're holding on to like some false sense of what America used to be. Like it was at some point, like it was at some point great,
Make it
and
great again. Yeah.
or it was at some point great for everybody. I mean, it kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's great for a certain group of people. Sometimes it's not great for other group of people. Yeah,
But if it's not great for everybody, then how great is it really? If it's not really great at all, um, America's always been fractured. Every
yeah,
era of American history has been some fracture that's kept it from living up to what it truly wants to be.
yeah. Hold on 2 seconds for me, please.
Hmm. The update can come back.
Sorry about that. The feds was listening, i.e., my
Okay.
kids.
I would say, yeah, you have to switch. I was thinking we got to switch the feed for a second or something.
No, no, no. Sorry about that. No, they know. I don't know, man. It's one of the great things of having to do everything at home and having kids and not having a separate space. Hoping to get back to some sense of normalcy at some point, because I don't know. It's having everything. What do they call coitus interruptus? It's having everything interruptus. Every function, every
I
function.
hope your coitus isn't being interrupted too much.
I mean, they don't. Well, they interrupt everything else. I mean,
I could, yeah,
going
with your
going to
babies at
going
your age, they get a they
going to
get
the bathroom,
yeah.
talking on the phone, everything. And then they scream for attention.
And you
Uh,
having another one too. So I
I, like I, What was I gonna say? Like, what did Gator? What is it? What is not? I don't want to say Gator Bradley because that's the wrong Gator. But Gator from Jungle Fever always said, what
Yeah,
he told Wesley Snipes, "You always wanted to do things the hard way." When he found out he had the affair with his white secretary.
but
Um,
I think it's a good time. It's a good time to because I stashed some subjects I want to just throw out.
mhm.
We've already given our historical TED talks and stuff, so
Oh yeah. Sorry,
let's just talk some random stuff before we go out.
okay.
I want, but I had some random stuff that, and I guess now that we bringing up kids and stuff, and you on your way to having three, you're halfway to Alec Baldwin and his wife's.
Well, yeah. Well, the difference is his wife is my age, I think, and fuck, he's what, like damn near
I
80.
got
He's
it.
sixty
He's
something.
62.
Yeah.
He's
So
gonna be 63 in April on April 3rd. But see, that's now from my point of view, Alec is sort of giving me. He's sort of inspiring to me. Ain't no way I'm gonna have 6 kids, but I can. But I'm fine with holding out because he didn't. He was in his 50s, I guess, when he started having kids. So
look,
but he's had as many kids as he's wanted. And
Alec been getting paid since Glenn Ross, so that's 30 something years ago. So
well, I'll start a couple years with my Black Libertarian Party, and by the time I
look,
get to 50, I'll be in a good place
I'm telling you.
to spread out a couple kids at 50.
I'm telling you, move up to Glen. I'm telling you that's because it's a whole lot. I mean, you gonna get
I
all of.
gotta get my obedient white trophy wife first.
No, it don't work. You see. No. That's not the way it works. You
Well,
come
who
up
else
with the
do I have a baby with?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I understand that. But you got to get the platform first.
Oh yeah,
Platform and the money first.
that's what I'm saying. I get the platform, and I get the money. I get the white obedient trophy wife, and then we spurt out who is half my age or a third my age or something. Then we get the babies going.
I, it's why not to go too far off the rails, but is Wanda still gonna be around?
She'll have had a stroke by then. I'd have disowned her. I'd have disowned her way before that.
Oh man! Oh no! I just remember.
You think she gonna live through that? No way.
I don't. I don't know. Look. I just know that when my brother was, had his short stint of having an Irish girlfriend. It was a problem in the family.
Oh,
That's
man,
all I'm gonna say to you. That's all I'm gonna say to you.
With an Irish woman too.
It was a brief stint. But the point is, it was a problem amongst some people in the family. So that's all I'm gonna say to you.
Alec Baldwin tells critic to shut the fuck up over negative comments about having another baby. Gotta love Baldwin's personality.
I mean, you can't tell nobody not to have no kids. I mean, like that's the one thing you can't know. That's the one thing you can't do. I mean, if they want to have a shit ton of kids, you just gotta say God bless them. I mean, you can't. You really. It's one of the few things you can't like. You really can't have an opinion on. I mean, he's wealthy enough to have assistants. It's not like they hacking it on their own. So go. I guess.
More power to him, bro. God bless him.
Yeah, more power to him. I guess. I mean, yeah, but
But do you think you're gonna have 6 babies though?
Are you gonna? Apparently, you don't know me very well. You know me 50. You know me 15 years long. Apparently, no. I'm going. One of us is going to the doctor.
I wouldn't have expected you to have 3 at 15 years ago.
I didn't. I figured I have 2. I mean, it's not too much of a stretch. Both of my parents have 3 and 4 respectively. So
Okay. So
It's not like they don't like I was the only child and I stopped popped out with three. No, I have
that's
other
true.
siblings. I got two
But
brothers and two sisters.
at some point though, you may have to. And I hate to bring this up. I kind of wish that Demise was here because he would
Oh, one
definitely
of one of us
he
is
would
going to the
definitely
doctor.
speak about, huh?
Oh yeah, one of us going to the doctor. No, I see Demise on social media living his best life. You know,
Right.
eh,
Yeah. He would gladly spout the positives of the virtues of getting the snip snip.
but Chanel. But like I said, you got to have. But Chanel was on the same page with the one and done. My wife wasn't on the same page. I mean, so it's a really relevant. I mean, I was fine with two,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
I know
it's
I knew Nora wanted at least two babies. So, but
well,
I'm
no, she
saying
wanted no, she want no, she no. Actually, she wanted four. Three in her brain is a compromise. Now that was
oh, she
yeah.
wants. So she. Well, okay. Well,
At one point,
so
not
you gonna
anymore.
have at least four then?
Correction, no, not at this point. No, she's done now. She's by
Oh,
her
she's
own
done
words.
now.
She's done now. Yeah,
Okay. She's
it's.
expressed that to you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She's done. I don't think she's not a spring chicken anymore. So no, she's done. I mean, it's one thing. Like I was talking. I met a guy when I take the kids to the playground every day, and I met a guy and he was my same age, and we both had two girls. His girls were a little bit younger. Um, and he was saying that him and his wife were thinking about having a third one. I was like, "How old is she?" She's like 36. I was like, "Well, you got time, do it. Better do it now than later, because it doesn't get easier."
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, so no, I know, no, we're done. We're done.
I'm glad y'all have come to an understanding.
Oh, I mean, it's not even a. Yeah, I mean, whether you and your brain think it's kind of like, I mean, it's like anything else that involves the, body. It's like if you drinking and eating too much, or you vomited one too many times. I don't like want to compare childbirth to that, but it's at some point you've reached your limit. Um, and I think we're finally at that point. So,
Okay.
you know, yeah. That's all I can say. That's what I can say.
Well, that's
It's,
good, man.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's better happening here than it would be in Chicago. Oh, that should been horrible. Because we ain't
yeah,
had, we had no help.
you were barely holding on with the two at here in
Oh
Chicago.
yeah, it was like every day was like that scene in Colors when they put them when they locked up the Bloods and the Crips and had them right across the hall from each other.
Yeah.
That's Yeah, so no, but no, I mean, kids are fun. I mean, if anything else, I mean, you learn what you made of. Like I don't know how else to explain it. You learn what you made of, and it's not like you can. It's not like a one-off. It's not like training for Tough Mudder or a marathon or a fight, because that's a one-off or one every one year, once a year type thing. This
Right.
is every day is
You stay in the mud with the kids.
every day is a new adventure, and sometimes it's a new marathon, and a testing of your limits. So what is fun though, for lack of a better
Well,
term.
I'm glad you got what you got, and I'm excited to see what your boy is going to be like.
Hopefully he's chill. I mean, that's all I can pray for. Healthy and chill at this point. 'Cause like I said, yeah, as what's his name? As Danny Glover said, I'm getting too old for this shit. Uh, so
And he said that at the first movie, and they about to do a fifth one.
wow. Eh, like I just like
Yeah.
you watch people complain, like I don't know, like Netflix is a godsend because I'm like I can't watch shit at the movies. I guess you can, because they just do shit over and over again. It's like, yeah, well, I don't know, maybe I don't know what it is. They just like, I need some more money. Danny Glover is pushing what 70 something years old. Like, why? What is he going? Is he going to be?
Man, I saw him yesterday. He was speaking. It was actually a pretty good segment they did. They got the ABC got their their Black America series now. Everybody got a Black America series now, but but they were actually had a good segment on Evanston enacting these reparations plans now that they got. I don't know if you've heard much about that, uh, but they would talk. They were talking about that, and they were talking about celebrities who they talked to Glover because he had spoken in front of Congress about reparations with Ta-Nehisi Coates and some other folks. But what I was getting to is Glover was just so he had a cane and he's so old. It's like, how are you doing any type of action movie with him and Mel Gibson warped minded as he gonna be trying to I don't know what type of
Who
Nazi
the hell?
imagery you gonna try to
Who?
sneak into the movie.
He funded the movie himself because you can't be anti-Semitic in Hollywood and get some fucking money. So he funded the money. So that movie is being solely. He is the executive producer, associate producer. He put up all his
He
own.
might
He had to put up all his own money. Um, unless he's getting
yeah. Well, it's funny they got this Richard Donner to come back and direct it for some. He's another old person,
Oh
and
yeah, shit.
so I don't know, man. They
Uh,
probably are all funding it themselves. I mean, why
hey,
would Warner Brothers want to put any money in it? Like the and this is probably a better bet, but the Coming to America movie, Coming to America, no, it's not being put out. But the part of it too is the pandemic, but it's being put out on Amazon. It's not.
right.
I don't even know how much Paramount is involved in it, but they've been doing a lot of press for it, and I'm encouraged by the movie overall because I saw the looking at the trailer for it, the full trailer. You get, of course, you get a lot of jokes in the trailer and stuff, but you worry about is those are those the best jokes, or are those all? It can't be all the jokes, but are those the best jokes or whatever? And what the story is kind of going into it, but you there to see all the old characters again and see how they interact and stuff, and to see Eddie Arsenio and everything. But the interviews have been good that I've seen so far. Just seeing Eddie and Arsenio play off each other. Well, actually, the only interview they've done with each other actually is they did an interview with Jimmy Kimmel where it was them two together, and it was just they were really funny. I think I sent you that link, but
Yeah.
but the one interesting thing about that interview that I want to bring up too is that Arsenio mentioned that they had to get a white person in the original movie. That Paramount Pictures forced them to put a white, because otherwise the whole cast of the movie was black, and
Oh,
that was
Jake Steiner.
no. I know. Well, yeah, he actually was in there too,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry. That's
no,
the person that come to mind was Jake Steiner or Elaine Kagan
yeah, huh?
or Elaine Kagan. Elaine Kagan.
Lank,
The,
who was that?
the cash the currency exchange chick. How about you just go for a cool meal when Simmy's there asking James
Oh,
who the Telegraph and James Earl Jones asking for some money and say we need some
okay.
help.
What was? Yeah, I guess they had. Well, but that's you're 0 for 2. But
That
no, there was a white person who had even more lines than that. Now, I got to have you guess now. I was about to say it. You'll be a white person who actually had more lines than that.
the guy the Jewish guy Eddie Murphy plays the old man.
No, that's
Oh,
not an actual white person,
no,
Dave.
I know that's why I'm drawing to. Oh,
McDowell's. Think of McDowell's.
Louis Anderson. Oh,
Yeah,
Louis. Oh yeah, no, yeah, I forgot. First is the fries. Yeah, now
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
washing lettuce.
yeah.
Now assistant manager. Now the big bucks come in. That was a great That was a great line. I
Right,
don't
right.
know how. I don't know.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
yeah. So Arsenio said on Jimmy Kimmel that Paramount had to get Paramount wanted them to get a white guy in the movie,
Oh
and
god.
he said, I guess they were sticking to comedians. Like they had a list, and Arsenio said there was like a list of three comedians or something that they had on the list, and like Eddie joined in too at this point. He said, "Oh, Louis was cool. Like they liked Louis, so they was like, yeah, we'll bring him in." But I guess out of the list, he was the coolest guy, the one that they felt that they could work with. I don't. They didn't want to say who else was on the list. I I would wager some good money that Sam Kinison was on that list. And they probably did not want to
You
probably did not want to work with him. I don't know who. I'm
can't
trying.
use.
I want to think who else
Okay.
would be on the list.
He could have played Sam Jackson. He
But
could play Sam.
that's what I say.
If,
Kinnison wouldn't have played that role that
well, he would
Louis
have
played.
played. No. That's what I'm saying. He's not playing Louis Anderson role, but he would have played
Yeah,
like Sam Jackson's role.
yeah,
Like,
probably, yeah, probably. That's probably it. Yeah, but I wonder who else would have been on that list at that time, like a white comedian. Because like I say, Kinnison. You think of who was really popping at that time as far as white comedians?
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Goldthwait?
Yeah, him.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Fucking.
I don't know why they would. Maybe Gilbert Gottfried. Gilbert Gottfried,
Oh,
maybe
he would have
that
been
might have been a
great.
good guess because I think him
Oh,
and
he'd have been great.
but I think him and Eddie. I think Eddie would have. I think him and Eddie got sort of a beef. I'm pretty. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Wait, let me look that up because I think that is a
Uh,
thing. Let me see.
Oh, I forgot who directed. Why am I drawing a blank of who directed the original Coming to America?
John Landis.
Didn't they had a problem? They got into it because
Yeah. Well, I know what you're talking about. That came out sort of recently.
because he didn't come to his trial about the Twilight Zone movie when Vic Morrow and the South Asian
Yeah,
boys
the
was killed.
person died on the set. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was more. It's two people. It was at least two people.
Yeah.
It was Vic
Oh yeah,
Morrow
yeah, right.
and the little boy. Yeah, and he said he didn't come to the trial, and they ended up getting in a fight. And
But yeah.
I never thought about that. That's what they had to. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know, but I would love if I ever talked to if I ever met Arsenio, that's be the first thing I would ask. Like I would probably have to ask him off of camera or something or recording, but because he wouldn't admit it on record. But I would want to know who the other guys were who were being considered for a role in that movie.
See, that goes back to our original point, man. If you got it, you got to be the token. You got to be the token black dude. Like I
Token white
said, you
or the
saw how
token
Louis.
white dude and the
Yeah,
black dude.
well, you saw. Look, his career took off. He had a damn cartoon and all that shit. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
no.
Life with Louis was the shit, man. That was
Yeah, so exactly. So you got to become the token black dude for the conservative cause, man.
yeah.
Get that bread.
Yeah, I'll be in that movie Ben Shapiro was making.
That dude is a hot fucking mess. He's so smart. I'm like, he's also a hot fucking mess. I don't know.
But
What was
yeah,
I say? I finally watched. I watched part of the interview with Rogan and Gibbs. That shit was glorious.
yeah, I've seen some parts of that. You saw the part where he talked about shooting the crackhead 9 times or something.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. I'd be so he's gonna go. Yeah, I guess if the next time he's in Gary PD is gonna bring him in. Like, remember that crime you admitted to on the Joe Rogan show? Yeah, I'm not really too. I don't know.
That's why I'm not really. I think he's telling some ducktails on that one.
I don't even. Yeah. I mean, but
He,
the
he may
bit
have
on
shot a
Ark.
crackhead, but I don't know if he. I mean,
Well,
if you deal drugs enough, you probably wind up shooting a crackhead or two. But
well, no, the part where they were talking about Marion Barry was great, and the part where they were talking about R. Kelly was glorious. Like, but the fact that Joe Rogan knew like all those damn R. Kelly songs.
hey,
It's like, R.
R. Kelly was big when at his peak, man. He was well. Miles was mess with R. Kelly songs back in
Yeah,
them days, man.
no, but get the way Gibbs had he. It seemed like Rogan had more of a infatuation with him than a Gibbs did. Gibbs was like, I ain't fucking with him. It's
Did you
like
listen to the We Are Not Gibbs segment? Uh, we've had Gibbs segments for like the last month now. But did you listen to? I didn't send it to you too long before the show. But
no, I
did you
saw it. I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet.
hear the Winter in America remake?
Oh, so he got
It's
Gil
pretty
Scott.
good.
So he's got Gil Scott Heron samples on there.
Wait, well, he actually remakes the song. He sings the lyrics and stuff.
Oh, okay. I have to check
Yeah,
that out.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's this project that I know the undefeated the website the undefeated with ESPN, they were part of it, and they've had like current day artists remix or redo older songs like that. There's a that got I don't know if you know Tobe in Wigwe, the
I've heard the name before. Yeah.
Nigerian cat from Houston.
Yeah.
He did he remade Wake Up Everybody. He
Oh,
performed
okay.
that on Jimmy Kimmel. So it's like I think it's some more songs like that, like remakes and stuff. But
Oh, okay.
that's what that song is on the Winter in America.
Okay. Yeah, I have to check it out.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's Gil Scott Heron song, but or album, but I didn't know. I didn't know what the whole premise of it was behind it. So yeah,
Yeah, they remade it for that project. That's what it's on.
yeah, that's yeah. Gibbs is he's a talented dude. He's quite the character. That's all I can say. He,
And
he
yeah, he is. Yeah, he. I know you said you haven't listened to Pinata yet, but they put it out. They put out a special edition of it with like 83 tracks for some reason. A lot of them are instrumentals, but there's also like I looked at the track list. There's like the whole album is remixed by somebody I don't even know who it is, but it's they remixed the whole album, and there's a bunch of like I said instrumentals, but the actual original album is on there first. So if it, I would
I'll
say
I'll check it
I
out.
would say don't listen to it on shuffle at least the first time if you want to listen to that special edition.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That got you. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. What was I gonna say? I don't know if I don't know if you had the chance to watch. I got a story to tell yet.
You watched
You
that
haven't?
already?
I watched it last night. That shit was good. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
You you you
I've heard good
you
things about it.
you find out, man, that man's influences that prove my motherfucking point about rappers. That all the dope ones always have like outside influences that you probably wouldn't expect their ass to have. And that's what
They
you learn
you
about
talking about
Big.
his uncle?
His uncle, not just his uncle in Jamaica, but his neighbor who was a jazz musician.
Oh yeah, I heard
Uh,
you. Yeah.
his mama was listening to country music and shit, like, and him saying that he was like country music. It's just like all these things influenced you did not expect his ass to have, and that's what influenced his approach to it. Like I was like, they started talking about how the jazz influence that he had from his neighbor, and I was listening to Unbelievable, I mean, what I don't say I was listening, but I remember like listening to the way his cadence on like Unbelievable, and I'm like, it
Mm-hmm.
had a real jazz, cadence to it. If you listen to his rhymes in it, not and even the beat,
Yeah.
and I was just like, you just listen to that shit like every damn body, even you was mentioning like NWA, all them motherfuckers that had some other talent. Easy E, even we were talking about like NWA, like comparing them to like drill and shit. And I know this is going on a different subject, but even them motherfuckers, they all had underlying talents before they got to even rap. Like I
Yeah.
think they were like what is it? At the beginning of the Boys of the Hood, they tell Easy E to get off the piano, and I was like, even with Dre, even before he got with NWA, I don't was he the producer for the glam rappers, the UTFO? He
No,
was he.
not UTFO.
It wasn't UTFO. It was somewhere
The
similar.
world uh the the DJ group. I don't.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, him, cute. Like they all had Arabian Prince. They all had other talents besides, rapping about.
World class wrecking crew.
Yeah, thank you. They all had like other talents, or they other had like back prior experience before
Well, yeah.
becoming what they were.
Well, it was. There's you study music. That's the the best people actually know something about music. That even in hip hop, where you're not, at least when you start, you're not necessarily privy, or you don't necessarily have uh, instruments at your resource. But they like the people, the people who really know their shit, or the prodigies and stuff. They seem to have some sort of connection with music that is greater than the average person, or they were influenced or brought along again by some mentor who who had their better interest at heart, or some, or they just were creative enough to sort of extend their creativity to this younger person, and they went on and ran with it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Uh,
but Biggie was exposed to more things than the average person around him. That's probably why he he was able to lead. He was able to be in a position of leadership early on in his life, and we look at the dynamic that he had with all those other cats in Brooklyn, the who would wind up being Junior Mafia and all them. Like, they follow behind him pretty easily because Biggie just knew he just knew a little more than him. So he was a leader. He was a leader too. But it's good that people know more about his process and how he came along.
yeah. Yeah. No. No. Agreed. I think that's. I mean, I think that's the thing with him is that people. Yeah, his process was. Yeah, his process was one that was influenced, and it's even somewhat similar, even though like, and I won't even call it the same as Nas, as Nas had a jazz musician in the house, well, to
Yeah,
a certain extent.
yeah,
Um,
in his life. Yeah,
right in his life, but it was the same thing. But he would talk about how, and I forgot the guy's name because they interviewed him. It was really eerie. They were able to interview like damn near everybody, with the exception of like maybe Lil Kim. That was oddly the one person that was missing.
well, she
I don't
wasn't
know.
in there at all. Mm,
Everybody else was there.
okay.
Uh, from Mama Puffy, everybody.
Yeah,
But no, there was no Little Kim.
well, that's
So
surprising.
yeah, I mean, which is really, I don't know, maybe she just didn't want to be a part of it, but it was very well done. I don't know. I think
Yeah, I'll
I
try
look,
to check that out soon.
yeah, so yeah, he was, yeah, it's really interesting though. They didn't expound too much on the second CD, but I always had like the second CD. I felt like it was almost like it was just like a bad place that his legacy ended up at, because it's not like it's a CD I don't really think about too much, or I don't even listen to, even though I don't remember buying it as a kid. But it was one of those CDs where it's hard to do a good double album. I mean, there's some people, of course, there's people that's done it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually fond of life after death, and for most part, I think as it had its pop leanings, of course, but I think the music overall, outside of like a few joints, I think it was superior. Like for me, like if I compare it a lot to All Eyes on Me, which I just listened to recently because that just had its 25th anniversary.
Right.
All Eyes on Me, and like the first disc on All Eyes on Me is pretty much perfect. The second disc is like it wavers, like the production quality and stuff. But I think the production quality overall on Life After Death is pretty superior, in my opinion. And it's just that Biggie was just trying more things conceptually,
Hmm.
and some things work better than others.
Yeah.
But and he was more playful in certain ways on Life After Death too. Like Ready to Die is pretty much a deadly serious record outside of the fuck interludes that he had in a couple other places and stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, agreed. I
but
think
yeah,
that.
but like I said, I don't think. I mean, Life After Death is I think it was pretty influential as an album, and it's sold a hell of a lot. It's one of the few diamond rap albums of all time. But that's just me. I just think the
Maybe I gotta.
best stuff on Life After Death is pretty damn good. It's not ready to die as an entire project. But I just think it was as a monumental project. The problem with it is that he didn't. I think I think people would look at it even more if it more favorably if it wasn't so associated with his actual death. You
Yeah.
know, and I think if he was around to promote the album and if he made videos out of more of the joints, if he was there for the videos or whatever, I think it would have a more of a. I think people would look at it different. But even as it is, I think it's still a pretty superior project overall.
Yeah, it's been in all honesty, it's been a minute since I've listened to it. But what I've caught myself always listening to even more is like No Way Out, and No Way Out just felt like something that was just well put, just better put together. I mean, and I
Yeah,
don't
it
know
was.
if it's just
It was No Way Out was one of the. Yeah, No Way Out was a great album. It definitely was. Yeah, I
is
can't.
yeah. I mean, it's just like from even like the joints they had big on, from just a lot of just the album was just even with the pop songs, and I mean they had a few that I didn't really care for, but the album was well put together. Like as I think use the term in the movie, they said it was cinematic. And
Hmm.
Puffy, I guess Puffy was saying that like that was a lot of his goal was to make music that was cinematic,
Yeah,
and I
that
think he did
you
a
look
really
at
good
like the
job with that.
Victory video. That was like a 15-minute mini movie and stuff, and yeah, that was all it was about. And the movie samples, like they sampled Rocky and everything, and
Yeah, going a distance. Yeah,
yeah, then yeah, that was their formula. That was those recognizable samples, those pop samples, and flipping them into a hip hop style, and the ambitious rhymes, the ghetto fabulous stuff, and the product placement and everything. That's what they were doing, man. That's what, and I want like Puffy just he was already being encouraged by Big to step up on the mic, before Big died, of course. But you know, I guess he probably felt at the time with Big being gone that he had to pick up the baton and really keep going. Like, and yeah, that wound up being a great, but probably wound up being a great album because of that whole thinking on Puffy's behalf. Like,
keep it moving.
he was gonna hold up Big and also continue his work.
And he used like every damn song. He like Big had some of the best verses on that damn album. Well, like he
Definitely,
used like the Victory sample, the damn the All About the Benjamin sample, Young G's,
yeah.
which is one of my favorite samples. That's just that damn beat. I don't the Roy Ayers hitting on the damn the xylophone beat. where he's
Yeah,
the
I
I
don't
think
know if
it's,
that's Roy Ayers though.
I don't know who it is, but it sounds like a Roy Ayers beat, the xylophone
Yeah,
player.
because yeah. Let me,
Yeah,
but
I don't know who, but yeah, it's just like that was yeah. He like he. It seemed like that album just had like some of the best elements of Big, even more than his own, project. And I think that's part of the reason why I listened to that album, even why end up listening to No Way Out even more than I listened to the double album, Life After Death. But
that
yeah,
was
I
yeah,
mean,
that was them at their peak, man. That was that whole like I say the Hitman production and you know Puffy, a big writing for Puffy and Mace writing for Puffy and
everybody,
you
yeah,
know
yeah, you can tell it, you can tell a change in the quality control as the years went on. Definitely with that. And it's yeah, he was he's probably he was ghostwriting before ghostwriting became popular, I guess, more than anything.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
uh, uh, let's see. Wikipedia says the sample is "On the Hill" by Oliver Sane.
Oh, okay. I have to look that
Yeah.
up. No, yeah,
I
but
think what's his name did that sample too pretty famously. I think Lord Finesse did that for DITZ. That's a that's a dope song too. Uh, Day One for DITC. That's the track. It's basically the same sample, but the exact same usage and
it,
everything. But
it's called Oliver Hill. What's it
no,
called?
On the Hill by Oliver Sane.
Okay, on the hill. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's one. But it's a great movie. That's all I want. It is a really it provides. I mean, I don't know why it took so damn long for them to do it too. I think that's really what the question is. I
But
mean, because
there've been a few Biggie documentaries. Like there've been like some of them been like bootleg joints and shit. But I
oh,
think
okay.
yeah, and then they did the movie and stuff, which I don't rock with that too much. But yeah, I guess it takes. I see that's the thing with me, like with a lot of these stuff that rappers are doing, where they're in control of their or their collaborators are in control of their projects that see that speak on their legacy and stuff. I think you have to have. I like to see sometimes pass where there's separation between the events that happen and the depiction, be it whether it's dramatic or documentary. Like I think you have to have that sort of passing of time to allow for a more objective perspective, not subjective so much. And I think
Yeah,
when you're dealing with the subjective, there's more there's more of a chance that you're gonna get subpar projects, like or projects that they have an agenda or something like that. If you allow a generation, say, to pass, and then you have a person, a filmmaker comes along of good enough, of good enough stock, and they could look at a Biggie through a career and a life of a Biggie Smalls through a wide lens. Then you could probably then that's probably why you got the project like you got it today on Netflix, because it's been 25 years since he passed. They put it out this year because he's gonna turn 50 years old. So that's enough time to
I think next year. Well, either next year I think is the 50, but or the 50
no,
25. I think is.
I saw something today that said this year he was gonna turn 50. He
I
was
thought.
born in 71. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it. So you lied about it. Wait. Then I don't. I thought he was 24 when he died. Confused.
Mm, mm.
Not that matter. I thought that's because I thought he was 24 turning 25. Not that it matter. But anyway, but I think that it's yeah, but it's just really interesting because I guess fortunately everybody was still alive with the exception of him. So
I guess you are right. I guess he did. Yeah, I guess he was born in 72. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, but it's really where it's still with the passing of time. Like everybody who was involved in his story that they had come on, with the exception of Lil Kim, apparently couldn't come on. Like everybody was there. I mean, his mama, Puffy, Faith, Easy Mo B,
Yeah,
Cease, all them dudes. All of them dudes. His grandmama is still alive. That's some. I mean, like they interviewed her, so it's really impressive.
that
Um,
probably helps too. Like if you try to do a documentary, like and what I think the document, I haven't looked at them too hard. The other ones I've seen, but the ones that were made, they were mostly being made like within 10 years of him passing, and I don't think any of them have. I don't think any of them have that comprehensive a list of people speaking on his life in like any of those documentaries that those lower budget documentaries that came out previously. So
yeah.
if you give enough time, people close to a person, to a subject, may be more willing to speak out. Like and a good example of that too is uh, something we may have to talk about too in future shows, is the Woody Allen joint that's on HBO now.
Yeah, I guess I gotta watch that.
Yeah, I watched some of the first episode. That shit is hard body, man. Like like Mia Farrow like that's one thing. Like Mia Farrow is she's speaking her mind. She has no problem talking in the movie. You never seen her talk about her life with dude, prior to this. So, they got her speaking on her kids. Like, Ronan Farrow has become like, he's become a very well respected journalist and gone after, sexual abusers and stuff, in large part because of the life that the abuses that he saw Woody put on his family. And and Ronan's sister, I think his younger sister, that Mia Farrow had with before she was with Woody Allen, she apparently was abused. What they see it's some gray area there. They talk about abuse or you know over it's you have to see the document, but she was dealt with questionably by him as well. But not in the same way that where he dealt with Sun Yi, who he wound up marrying and stuff, of course. But yeah, that's it's a while. It's pretty. Like I said, from what I saw in that first episode, I'm definitely gonna be watching the rest of it.
Yeah, it's a yeah. I mean,
And
I don't know.
all that happened about 30 years ago now. So the
Yeah,
majority of it.
yeah. I mean, no. I mean, I say yes. That's a point. I mean, that's a good point. It sometimes takes people when somebody when there's some trauma attached to an event. It takes people some time to reconcile their feelings with it before they're able to speak on it. So I think that's maybe the more, and then also to be able to compile those people to speak on it at one time.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely see that. But yeah, like I said, it was it was well done. It's just it's really it's just I guess it just seems like it's something that should have been more on on him, or just more more recently.
Yeah, I like what you say though. I definitely look forward to seeing the connections that he had. Like say being his, whatever interest he had in other forms of music, and especially jazz. Like I say, there's no better spiritual connection or creative connection that exists with hip hop than there is with jazz.
Hmm.
And when you look at the music that's come out of the combining of the two, I think it's the best form. It's the best forms of hip hop that there's been. Like there's been great hip hop that's been born out of rock influences and funk and of course soul, but in general sense soul. But I think when you speak about stuff, you speak about things that borrow and owe uh, their genesis straight from jazz. I think that's the best stuff. Like you said, we talk about using your voice as an instrument, or using, even like I said, using samples, of course, using certain elements of jazz production, or jazz sound, and is when you have that in you do that at hip hop at its best, is nothing that beats it for me.
No, yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And you didn't see it a whole lot. I don't know if you see a whole lot on like in his songs, but you definitely can hear it in his rhyme cadence at times. And that's why when I
Mhm.
heard it, it wasn't super surprising. Um, you know, it was
It's sort of
surprising, but
like
it wasn't.
a scatting type thing,
Yeah,
or yeah, like I could like I never thought of it either. Really, I haven't like thought of it exact outwardly either, explicitly, I should say, in on a song like "Unbelievable." But you do, now that I think about it, you do get that, like live from Bedford Stuyvesant, the live is one,
right, exactly.
yeah, stuff like
Representing
that. Yeah.
BK from the fullest gas I pull it. Yeah, I mean yeah, it has like a similar cadence to jazz and or improvisational jazz at least, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's what made him. I think if anything, that's what probably made him good. So much better was that yeah he could approach rap on so many different, I guess, for lack of a better term, styles. He could switch up his style. He could do the angry murder, death, kill battle rap because they focus a lot of they focus some part, before he gets his deal on his, you know experience, battling people on full nav, and so it's definitely that aspect there, but it also shows him being able to switch it up, and I think that's what really makes him
Oh yeah,
definitely great. And
yeah, you
for the
definitely got
fans.
to, as a battler or as a freestyler, yeah, that ability to switch up, like you say, or improvise, you know, like I've there's only a handful of times that I tried to freestyle MC rap in my life, and that's a harrowing thing. Like trying to even somebody, I'm confident with my ability with words and stuff, but trying to rap off the top of your head, it's not for the faint of heart. But
No, it's not. I mean, I can repeat somebody else's shit. Can I do it my own? No,
hmm
no. It definitely takes a skill, to do that. So yeah, I think that for him, but it also, like I said, it comes. But I think the thing, what I was mentioning before on other calls, well, like comparing like street rap of times past to drill, is that that's the one missing element, is that they had some level of influence that came from somewhere else. It came from jazz. It came from there was something else that everybody had. Like even like you even look at like there. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule, but you even look at like rappers like Prodigy. Like Prodigy was in dance school, and people make fun of that shit. But I mean, there was some element that added to some level of culture. I'm pretty sure Havoc has some level of acculturation outside
well,
of
yeah.
what made him a great producer. Pete Rock, I think his I don't know if his dad or his uncle was a DJ. There was always somebody who exposed them to something, outside of the neighborhood that influenced their skill. I mean, it wasn't just like you know, it was just like a completely, you know, internal born thing.
Well, you mentioned prodigies more than the dancing and the he went to, of course, a creative arts school, but he got family, and he got a lot of family in his uh that who were entertainers actually. He is just going off top, his grandfather was a saxophonist. This is from his Wikipedia, but I've heard these things in interviews and stuff, but and writings about him. He had a grand uncle who was a trombonist. Uh, his mother was a singer, and his father was singer. Yeah, his father was a singer too. Like his he had a lot of people in his life who were musically inclined. So yeah.
Yeah, and I just, I mean, so I think that I just say that when people try to, and the only reason I bring it up is so when people try to equate the rap, street rap of times past to what exists today, and I was like, I mean, there's no music, there's no music, there's all of those point to one thing is that in the past you had some level of external musical education. There is none.
But I
No,
think, yeah, I think, but I would wager that a lot of people who today do who do good work today, musical work today, they probably have similar stories as well. I think
yeah,
there's unfortunately they're outliers. They're people who and it depends on how you look at it. Some people may look at a person who didn't have any influence, and I think I've said this before. Like they just see them as some sort of prodigy of their own baking. That without any type of nurture or nature, even that they were able to create something of themselves, that they were self-made in a way, and that's something that you know that adds to their adds to their story, or adds to their whatever whatever that makes them a good artist for some people, but
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of good examples of that because I was somebody else thinking it was Kendrick, but then I thought about Kendrick and I was like Kendrick, had Dre not at the
no,
very
I'm not.
beginning.
I'm talking about the people who you don't like, as them
Oh,
them coming out of an environment where they weren't necessarily molded in any way, and that but they still made music, and they were able to find some voice and create, and some willingness to create for themselves. And that's that's where a lot of those kids who make the music that you don't like, sort of, that's where they come from, because they, like you say, they didn't have that, either that lineage or that creative or that mentorship in any way that led them to making music. They just created music for whatever reason that they wanted to make it, in a lot of ways, try to get out of whatever situation they in that they didn't want to be in anymore. So it's a point of, I think a lot of it is a point of view thing, and those kids, they the ones that make the music that you don't like, because I don't want to have to say it all the time, but because it's not all necessarily drill. It's just stuff that's not.
no, it's not all drill. No, no,
Yeah,
no, definitely not.
it's just a lot of it is just new stuff that we don't have an attachment to. So you know, I like I say, I don't know. I'm with you though, as far as it would be nice if more kids just were put on music, put on music in a traditional way, and in a way that allows them to speak to past creatives. And because a lot of black music, to me, to me, black music in particular, there's lineages that if you uphold those lineages, or if you bother to speak to the past and what you do in the present, you know, you can transcend the present, and you can transcend the present and do something that's future forward without it being whack. I think a lot of people want to do stuff that they deem is future forward, but they don't, like you say, they don't have the a hold of the sensibilities that make that inform real good, that inform good music. They
They,
just they
they
don't
don't.
have the
They don't.
foundation.
The foundation is what I was about
Yeah,
to say. They don't have the
they don't
foundation.
have the foundation. So, but they just do stuff off of feeling, or off of whatever
Off of,
instinct that they.
off of feeling emotion,
Yeah,
wave, the wave was popular,
yeah.
all that
It's
stuff.
like, yeah, they just don't, they just don't have the technical skills, or the technical skills, or the ability to intellectualize what they do in any way. They just, like, if you ask a lot of these kids what they what's good about their music, how many of them could really speak intellectually about that? What makes their music really, separates it from others. You know, they just say, "Oh, that shit knock," or that shit, whatever. They speak in certain terms that that I don't know. You just wish that the people who were deemed most talented in what they do would actually have these talents that people sort of project onto them. But you know,
Too too much to like, right? Um, it's I guess we should be lucky that the people who decide what the good music is, are not the same people decide where we eat. Otherwise we all be eating at Cheesecake Factory. Uh,
yeah, there's a lot of them. Yeah, there's a lot of people who try to put out food who don't have no business cooking. Like I say that as someone who watches a lot of kitchen, Gordon Ramsay kitchen, Gordon Ramsay shows where he takes over bad restaurants.
well, yeah. Well, I think the difference is, with that is they're not. I don't know. They I think they I mean, they kind of. There's no. I think the market validates whether they are any good or not in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, because most people on those shows aren't doing well when they come
uh,
to yeah,
mu-
when they
uh,
come to Gordon Ramsay. But that is
music is
true.
not a music is not a meritocracy. So like
But
restaurants are like, and that I don't even want.
but
That's
a
probably the.
lot of those people too. But a lot of those people they put together restaurants without any knowledge of they just like, oh, I got some money. I'm going to invest in a restaurant. They have no idea how to run a restaurant. So
I
there's no burden to entry. There's no barrier to entry, as I said.
It is a bar. It's more of a barrier entry to putting your own money up versus it is than rapping and putting some bullshit on SoundCloud and have a whole lot of motherfuckers download it and then get found by somebody who's looking for the new wave, so A&R who's looking for the new wave.
But
And
there's more
and
steps involved in that than if you have money and you was like, I wanna open a restaurant, and then
it's a
if you
it's
have
a
the money to do it, you could just do it.
it's
But
a it's
you don't have to know necessarily how to run a restaurant before you do it.
Well, yeah, you do. Otherwise, you fail. And you lose your money. There's a difference. You can be you like people like there's like it's like
But
hip.
I'm saying, Dave, even before that, these people they run the restaurant and they put out bad food and they have a time where they're running a restaurant and they're doing badly. So
Yeah.
that's not of service to anyone because they're
Well,
putting out bad food and they're sinking their money
but
and they're putting out bad
but
food to the public. So
but you
it's
but
still it's like if it was music, there would be, you know, this it's the same thing. There's nothing stopping them from putting out bad food, just like there's nothing stopping those kids from putting out bad music.
well the yeah well I yeah and no. So I mean so the difference is putting music on SoundCloud is a lot less and coming and right rapping whatever off stream of conscious shit off the top of your head or based upon whatever your limited experiences is, it's there's not the same barrier to entry. And one, it's not, and two, it's not as a competitive space. Restaurant business is a highly competitive space, especially now. Like, dude, if I can show you like how many Instagram like ads are following for restaurants and my phone and just geographically around me, how many hundreds of restaurants around me are trying to like fight for the same people to support them. So if you have I don't know about, like I said, I don't watch the Gordon Ramsay shows, but the difference is it costs money to release a space. It costs money to pay workers. It costs money for food. It costs money for shrinkage. It costs money for effort for marketing. It's a
That's not that. I'm not really going in all that.
yeah.
I'm
No.
just saying that there's a similar delusion that's involved
Oh,
with
from
most
as from a
people.
person, yeah, from
Yeah,
a sense, but the
like
thing is,
yeah,
but
there's the idea that I can make music and people will like it, because I want to make music, and
Well,
then without thinking without thinking whether or not my music is good or not. Just like these people they want to put out food, and they don't think about whether or not they're actually good at putting
what,
out food or not.
yeah, but I think the key difference you're missing is that there is that restaurants are a restaurant being determined good is being determined by more of a there are there it's a there's a standard base there's a standard
But
of
I'm not talking about determining being good. The issue is the same. The fact that there's subpar work being done.
well
I'm not
subpar.
talking about a turn. The turnaround is needed in both cases, of course.
Well, yeah, the
But
turnaround. Yeah, well, I was gonna say the turnaround is needed in both places, but the difference between is if you're a trash restaurant, you're not gonna see that there's a lower possibility probability of you receiving external validation versus if you're putting out subpar music and you receiving external validation. That's the point that I'm trying to make. That there's
I,
somebody
I,
out there.
I get I get that. I get that. That's not
Yeah.
what that's not necessarily what I was driving at. But I'm saying I was thinking more about the delusion that's involved from
Oh
from
yeah, yeah.
the
But
genesis. Yeah.
but if you're a trash restaurant, I don't hear. I don't. I'm not. My ears are not inundated. My senses are not inundated with you. The same way as that if you're a
But
trash rap.
you can have suffer you can't suffer from the pub. Let me say the pub. I'm just thinking about the general public. The general public in some way suffers because of bad content or
Unless you're a
bad
chain.
output.
If you unless you're a chain, so yeah, I mean like that argument is valid towards like a chain. Like if you're a McDonald's or something like that, and all you're doing is putting out subpar food. As a rapper, if some A&R decides your ass is hot and you end up getting a deal and you end up on Clear Channel and GCI, Power 92 playing your ass 100 times a day, I cannot, unless I turn off the fucking radio, I cannot insulate myself from that. The difference is with a restaurant, I can insulate myself from going to you. I mean, because it's so many options. You have the difference between radio is is a monopoly. I mean, you have a handful of stations that control the damn airways versus restaurants. It's a pretty democratized space. If you're a huff ass restaurant, even if you're McDonald's, I don't have to go to you. I mean, like, I don't, there's no, if you're a bad restaurant, I don't have to go to you and you have and you can operate as a bad restaurant as long as you have a budget to do so that you can continue to burn through. With rap is a different thing because if someone in a place of power decides that decides that you are trending, you can go you have given a platform to somebody who essentially assaults a lot of people's ears, and you control that because it's only so many damn radio stations you can listen to. You can turn the GCI, Power 92 and B96, and the same motherfucker can be playing. And it's like, God damn, I can't get away from them unless if I want to listen to the radio. The only way I can get away from them is shut off the radio. Or if I want to watch BT or VH1, I end up seeing the same nigga in the same video over and over again. And I'm pretty sure we can all think of examples where there's just something that's I'll use an example of a song that I used to hate and they used to play the shit everywhere. And it's funny. And there's plenty of examples of it, but like Blurred Lines. They used to play. I said that if I ever went to hell or if I went to purgatory, they'd probably be playing Blurred Lines for me by Robin Thicke because it was what the hell is that? It was omnipresent. It was everywhere, like
Mm-hmm.
on the radios. And I think that's the kind of difference between like a bad restaurant. Like I can not go to.
That's I get okay. I'll let you have your TED talk, Dave, but
Sorry,
that's not
sorry.
that's not
Uh,
that's again that's not what I was
well, I'm
aiming
sorry.
at.
Well, I'm
I just
sorry. I'm sorry.
I
I missed the
said,
point. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
yeah.
missed where you were going with it because I mean, but like I
But
said,
I say in general what I was because I don't even know what I was saying at this point because we gonna have to wrap up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think what I was saying though is that like well I guess what I was trying to say was that the one just one and one just like the other, you have people who don't bother to create, who don't bother to give themselves the skills worth entering the market of what they're doing. They just do it. And if you have certain whatever resources available to you to get into it, yeah, of course you have to have more to enter a restaurant to put together a restaurant. But if you have that, like I said, the people on those shows who have those, they've had the resources to put up money to build a restaurant and do whatever, do this or that, but they didn't think about whether or not they could actually cook food or run a certain business. Like a lot of the people in those shows, they've come from other industries or other businesses types that they've had, and then they've decided to just get into the restaurant industry without having any background in it. So just like a music person who was like, just like a 60-year-old kid who didn't have any background in music, wanted to make music all of a sudden, and then they're famous by the age of 17. If you're like a 40-year-old who has enough money to invest in a restaurant, by the time you're 41, you're stuck in a bad restaurant, just like an artist who's stuck. They probably are doing better, of course, than they're not stuck necessarily, but they're known now as an artist who's putting out bad music, just like a person who's putting out bad food at a restaurant. That's what they're known for.
Well, I guess I think the tying commonality between the both is lack awareness.
Yeah,
I think
that's basically it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
the
commonality.
yeah, because I was gonna say, like, one, restaurants, they don't make any money. I mean, like, no one,
Yeah,
no rapper gets it. If you want to, what is it?
and
What is
that yeah, that is true.
Sir
Like
Richard?
yeah,
Yeah,
the
Sir
show
Richard
with the,
Brand.
sh- with the show, one of the for the most part, these people come onto these shows because they're not making money. Their restaurant isn't being successful. But if a rapper's being successful in spite of the music that they make, they're not going to really call on anybody to help them. They not there's not a Gordon Ramsay, unfortunately, to come and scream on rappers who are putting out bullshit. But
Right.
even the rappers who are putting out bullshit, they can make money and be famous in spite of that. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying. I know
Well,
I know.
yeah, and what I'm saying is that also more important, more specifically, is no one goes in the restaurant. No one knowingly goes into the restaurant business with the expectation to make money. It's more that you go in because you really should, for a love to serve or a love to cook. It's similar to what Richard
But
Brand.
see, that's again, you
Well,
have to
well,
watch these shows. A lot of
well,
these people don't have that. They don't have
oh,
that love, and they get into it anyway.
what if they going into for the money? They morons. Well, Sir Richard Branson said, and it's similar to running the airline business. He said, if you want to be a millionaire in the airline business, start out as a billionaire first. And I think
Yeah,
it's also akin to the restaurant industry. It's like, you don't make profit, you ain't making no money for the first couple of years. Whereas the difference is, in the music industry, no one goes no one I mean, everyone goes in the music industry with the intent, with the majority of people go in the industry with the intent to make money. The majority of people that go in the restaurant industry, and apparently the ones that you know Hell's Kitchen has tried to set straight, has went in there, had the wrong idea in mind, or had some delusion
yeah,
in mind.
yeah,
But the majority of people go in the restaurant industry knowing that you're gonna bleed money for the first couple years.
yeah. And
Where
like you say, that's why the people who do have success in that industry, they have a passion for it, and they have a passion for food and for serving food and serving others.
you
but
got to.
but there are also people but there are also people the people who these shows are built on. They're, like I said, there's a lack of self-awareness. There's a delusion that's involved where they either go into it to make money, or they go into it as a just as a they're privileged enough to have like a hobby almost, and they don't
On a
even
lark.
and they don't
Yeah.
yeah on a lark, and they don't think about what all the work that is really needed to have a successful restaurant.
Well,
And that's why they have these horrible things that they have these horrible things, and then that's the formula of the show.
I don't know. It's probably an unethical desire, but I mean, no, if it's a lot of industries in America are made on capitalizing on the ignorance or the hubris of other
Very
people.
much so.
And I mean, I mean, I guess if we didn't have any dumb people in America, we would look like Germany. We would look like a lot of European countries, I guess. If everybody had like a common sense pragmatism by the way they operated, we probably would look like a European country and not like America. So, I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, we
That's another thing we probably could talk about at some point. Like I actually saw some stuff come up about this week about the way that Americans work, and it sort of was tied into, because we too late in this show to really go into it, but it was tied into another like this these sort of discussions sort of cycle back on social media every couple months or so, but free working for free, essentially working,
Mhm.
free internships or stuff of that nature. And it's usually in the context of media, because that's so much of Twitter is just successful media people talking to not so successful media people, and but that came up again this week. But that may be something we talk about in the near future. But for now, let's stop talking and let's wrap up this week's show.
Yes,
Uh,
running with no
good,
breaks.
good to talk to you again, brother. Though, and yeah, let's like next week. We'll be back, and we actually were going to have a guest this week, but she had to unfortunately drop out pretty soon before we came on. So, but we'll try to get her on soon. But we should definitely have a guest next week. I'm pretty sure. She's agreed to come on unless something unfortunate happens to her. Hope God willing it doesn't. But we should have a guest next week, and we'll give you more on that as we get closer to that show. But for now, we're gonna just chill out and uh, wrap up this week's show.
Yeah, all right. Well, look forward to next week.
Dave, you got anything else on your brain?
Oh
Yeah, I
no,
said, you got anything else on your brain, man?
no. I've
Yeah.
look. I've shared. I've shared all I can. Shared all this there.
Share it all. You shared. You can't shares no more, like Popeye used to say.
Nope.
But yeah, that's it though, man. We glad, like I say, always glad to hear from you, and hopefully the audience feels the same.
Yeah. Hopefully, some value or some point that was cogent. Or they were able to pull out from the
No,
conversation.
yeah, right. We went over a lot actually this week. I think we went to a lot of places. I like shows like that. That's I try to do that more. Especially when it's just us. It's just talk about whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, we'll be back. We'll be back next week, and see what else is going on in the world, and we'll react to all that. But yeah, y'all just in the meantime, y'all just be good to each other, take care of yourself, take care of others, and yeah, we'll talk to y'all later, man.
All right. Peace.